Hey guys, in this video, we're joined today by two really smart guys in an area that I think is super important.
No,
Sorry,
one smart guy.
yeah.
One smart guy is what I'm
Super
saying.
important
Sorry.
to share with all of my friends and family and clients, and a very important topic. And you guys know the topic better than me. So Anthony, Cameron, share with us and our friends who you are and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to do backgrounds real quick?
Yeah.
Give me a short background. I'll do mine then.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm Anthony Faso. I'm the self-proclaimed recovering CPA. Been a CPA for over 20 years. And I learned really after 2008 that typical financial advice really was not working. So I went on a journey to find a solution for myself. Then we ended up turning that in, sharing what we learned to our clients. We turned it into a business.
Yeah, and I'm Cameron Christiansen. I was a small business owner, and man, 13, 14 years ago, I came across this strategy. The reason I came across it is because I was out there looking to do planning for myself. And to be honest, there was so much information out there. It was overwhelming, and I ended up doing nothing. I didn't know what to do. And so I continued down that education road and really came across kind of this niche of infinite banking. And just as a business owner, it checked all the boxes that I was looking for at the time and even to today. And so what Anthony and I have done, we've actually partnered. I think we're going on 3 years now. So congrats. And really what we do is we take kind of two predominant philosophies that are out there in the world of finance, and we kind of mash those two together. The first one that we put together is we've taken infinite banking concept from Nash's Become Your Own Banker, which what Nelson does in this book is he introduces you to what I believe is the most significant or the best place that someone can store cash or capital. So what we do is we take Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and we combine those two philosophies together. And that's really our approach. Robert Kiyosaki's approach to personal finance is achieving financial freedom. And so that's really what we help clients do is we help them achieve financial freedom. And our definition of that, along with his, is having passive income greater than monthly expenses. And Randy, I don't know about you, but man, growing up is the ability to create passive income is not something that I was exposed to in our education system. Mm-hmm. And so I had to go out there, Anthony had to go out there and find kind of these ways to do it. And so that's what we've done. We've kind of packaged it, created a whole bunch of resources for our clients and exposed them to different opportunities to create passive income for themselves. Well, so that's what we do here at Infinite Wealth.
And I appreciate that. And just listening to this, it almost sounds too good to be true. Infinite banking and financial freedom, passive income. And if I didn't know you guys, I'll think, well, you know, it sounds too good to be true. Fortunately, I do know you, and I visited your office with my wife a couple of years ago. And at first, I thought you guys it was just like life insurance, which I know is a component of what we're talking about today. Mm-hmm. And there's something else I also told you when I sat down with you that, you know, look, I'm 47 years old now. I've heard life insurance presentations and stuff like this over 20, 25 years. And do you remember what I told you at the end?
I do, but I'm not going to repeat.
I'll repeat it because you're so humble. Is that it was the best presentation I've ever heard in this particular topic. So I appreciate that. So what, of all of those great financial terms and things we would all want in our life, what makes what you guys do different than some of the other people in your field?
Good question.
You put us in a category, if you had to, it would be in as a financial advisor.
Okay.
But I don't really like being lumped in with typical financial planners because our concept and our approach is very different, right? A typical financial planner is providing really zero education, except just let me control your money and let's hope it's going to be there when you're 59 and a half or when you're older, right? Yeah. And a lot of times the products they use are IRAs, 401ks, and those are impossible to create passive income in because there's too many restrictions on pulling it out. So we take a very different approach. We're not involved in the market at all. We empower people to be financially free. And like we talked about, passive income is more than monthly expenses. But when we say financially free, a lot of times people talk about dollars, but more importantly, it's cents. The important thing is we want to teach our people to fish. not just a fish for them. So we're empowering them to find asset classes or businesses or ways for them to create passive income. So they take an active approach in their finances, because really nobody is going to care more about your money than you. And so we empower them to take control. And to me, what was the most interesting thing of our journey is we often thought, hey, if I want to save for retirement, it's an IRA or 401k. It's mutual funds in the stock market. And you know what? When we took those blinders off and just realized how many different ways to create passive income, like real estate is one of our favorites. And I'm sure a lot of people on your channel would agree. And there's some great reasons for real estate. But with real estate, there's short-term rentals, long-term rentals. There's even corporate rentals. We've bought some ATM machines. I'm flipping raw land in the middle of nowhere. I mean, just all these different ways that people just didn't even know existed. Okay, so what we do that is different, like we sit down and talk to our clients, figure out what are their goals, what are they trying to accomplish, and then we help them devise a plan to accomplish those goals. And part of that will be is, all these different ways that we can create passive income. What we do is we talk about, how much capital do you have? How much time do you have? And then we will present a few different ideas, for them to kind of learn, to help them to really get out of the rat race and to create the passive income that's more than their monthly expenses.
Well, and that's terrific. And that's why one of the reasons me and my wife met with you guys a couple of years ago. And look, and let me tell everyone, all our friends out there, my wife is a first grade teacher. She just started last year. She's in her mid-20s now. And I'm excited for her because I didn't, just like you had mentioned earlier, Cameron, I did not understand, it's taken me my whole life to understand wealth and preserving wealth and growing wealth and passive income. She's getting to do it in her mid-20s. So like her, what other kinds of clients are you helping, and what kind of plans do you come up for different people in different places in life?
We come up with all different sorts of plans, right? It's very client centric, client dependent on what is available to them. And really that's based upon their skill set, what background they have, and what we see is kind of going to be their best fit. So, but what I would say is once we kind of vet all their skill set and the opportunities that Anthony was referencing before is, man, we're big advocates for action, right? Is we've got to do something. One of the other things that I would add that mentioned before was that we're not going to wait 20, 30 years from now to create income. Man, our goal is to create that now, today, and then start building on it. And we should have some very tangible results in a year, 2 years, 5 years to know where we're going to be, right? So when we get to retirement age, quote unquote, right, it's not going to be a big surprise or, oh shoot, I don't have as much money as I thought I'm going to have. So,
well, and I appreciate you sharing that. And, we've been in a bull market for basically the last 10, 12 years. And it's probably easy for a lot of financial people to say, hey, we can get results for you.
Yeah.
And Anthony had mentioned earlier, which I thought was very important, and I wanted to come back to, coming out of the Great Recession 12, 13 years ago, where so many of us are still scarred from that, from I lost everything. What do I do now? I don't ever want to be in that place again. So Anthony, the news has been talking about a recession for probably 3 years.
Okay.
Sooner or later, it's going to happen. The point is, the market is just not go up forever. And we see in the news lately a lot of the crypto scam stuff. So how do we avoid getting involved in any of those types of things, or at least, and continue to grow? What kind of advice, or what are you doing with the people you're working with?
What I found, what really hit home to me was 2008. Not only did it punch me in the gut, but I had a lot of clients on my tax firm, and they got punched in the gut. And the problem was they did everything they were told, right? I'm going to pay down my house, stay out of debt, max out my 401k, but then their 401k turns to 201k, right? And a lot of people lost their house. And honestly, I got scared for myself. Like, I'm doing the same thing they're doing, and why would I expect a different result? And I started looking back in time, and Cameron and I did a study. There was a recession every decade going back to 1900, except for this last decade was the only one that it didn't happen. But what I kind of realized, unless we do something different, why would we expect something different? So the first thing we need to do is we need to be open to new ideas, and we need to do some different things.
Also, what I would add there too is if you look back on what people were doing then, and even what they're doing today, is they are just purely speculating, right? And there is a huge difference between speculation versus investing. And that's probably one of the biggest downfalls that I see in our industry, is that people use those words interchangeably. I would say that 90% of people out there are speculating, and they believe that they are investing. Speculation, you have no due diligence. You have no idea how this thing is going to turn out. Investing, there's a level of due diligence. You have a very good understanding of what you're investing in, and there's a very, very high likelihood of a certain outcome, which is night and day. And if you look at people that have been successful in up markets, down markets, it's the people that invest in what they know and stay very true to what they're doing and don't get distracted by what's happening around them, are the ones that are successful.
Well, thank you so much for breaking that down. You know, it just reminded me that I want to share with everyone listening to this and all of my audience, all my friends, family, and clients, that you guys have one of the best podcasts I've ever heard when it comes to financial planning, wealth building. Would you share with everyone how they could find your podcast website, get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can get in touch with us at infinitewealthconsultants.com. There, we've got a whole bunch of kind of free resources, things we like, things we don't like, but also you're going to find all of our social media contacts, Facebook, Instagram. And then also we do have a podcast, like you mentioned, Infinite Wealth Podcast, which is on every major platform that's out there. And we have episodes that come out every Tuesday. And Randy, appreciate the compliment, right? What we're trying to do with that podcast is really just provide some education. Half of the content that's on there is Anthony and I talking about kind of this niche, our approach to personal finance. And then the other half is just highlighting opportunities that we've touched on a little bit today of different ways that people can potentially create passive income. And so we're just trying to bring some attention to opportunities that people don't typically see.
Yeah, and Randy, go ahead. We have a website that has a link to all the different social medias and the podcasts. And what we also encourage people, when they're ready, to get on what we call a discovery call, 15 to 30 minutes, talk about your goals. We can answer any questions, share what we're doing, and to see if we're a good fit. And maybe we can point you in the right direction and help you get additional resources. And Randy, you'd mentioned earlier about how some people might say, oh, this just sounds way too good to be true. Or, you know, what we do is we view ourselves as educators. I mean, when we're on a podcast like this, we're talking about all the great things of how we help people, but everything is pros and cons. Mm-hmm. And kind of our concept is no different, but we have an education process. And in there, we're going to tell you the good things about what we do in the infinite banking concept. And we're going to tell you the things that aren't so good, right? Because we want to empower people, again, to be financially free. It's not just the money, it's the sense. They need to be able to make those decisions. So we're going to share the good and the not so good, so that way they can make the best decision to help their family.
And I love that transparency. And you did a video recently that I watched of, is a top number of reasons who this may not be for, or the consequences of not doing this kind of planning. Could you just kind of review that for us real quick?
Just like we're big on the pros and cons and very transparent, like we want to help people. And this concept is not for everybody. And maybe, you know, the way Cameron and I work are not for everybody. So we'd rather get that out in the open and decide that from day one or day 10, as opposed to waiting until you're 2, 3, or 10. So we just want to help people. And if it's not with us, I mean, maybe you can find somewhere else. But we are very transparent. We're not selly, you know, we're just trying to teach.
Cameron, any thoughts about that? Maybe who it's not for, or maybe even the consequence of not participating, at least in the conversation of this type of planning?
Wow. That last one, right? The consequence of not participating is, I don't know if I could emphasize the consequence of not kind of taking management, not only doing infinite banking, but just not taking control of your personal finances. I think that if you look back over kind of the previous generation, right, our parents, right, they had low inflation, low taxes, and a rising stock market. And I think less than 5% of baby boomers have a net worth of $1 million or more.
Hmm.
If it didn't work for them, it's certainly not going to work for us, right? We have got to approach personal finance from a different perspective than what has been taught previously if we want to be successful and we want to be quote unquote wealthy or financial free or whatever somebody's going after. Is you cannot approach it from the traditional perspective and think that it's going to be successful for you. So in regards to the consequences, man, right, it is I think this is for everybody. You've got to engage on the personal financial front. Otherwise, you're going to get left behind, and it's not going to be pretty in the next 10, 20, 30 years.
Perfect.
I hate saying that. I hate saying that because I hate fear mongering.
We got to know. We've got to tell people the truth, and that's that's why I have you guys. Anthony, any last comments?
You know, what I like to share is a story with one of our clients, and we even did a YouTube interview on this. So we're share the link. But what one of our clients, again, we're big about the goals, right, and helping people achieve them. And his goal was to be able to tell his wife he didn't have to work anymore. They already had a kid who was in college, and then they had a child who was like 10, and she wanted to be more active with him. And so we kind of put a plan together, reallocated they had some good assets, but they were just in the wrong place to create passive income. So we helped them move that, kind of took the blinders off of them, and they started, again, they got into real estate. And about 9 months later, he was able to tell his wife, you don't have to go to work tomorrow.
Wow. I'm sure a lot of people out there would love to be able to say the same thing.
And you know, that's what it's about. It's not, I mean, you know, we have wealth in the name, but wealth isn't just dollars, right? You know, in our view, money is a tool, and we want to, and that can be used to help you achieve the goals if we do it in the right way. And a lot of these goals don't necessarily have to be financial. A lot of people want to serve, or they want to do things outside of their job, but their job is just tying them down. But being able to create some passive income, I mean, our goal is that people work because they want to, not because they have to.
Wow. Well, great thoughts, guys. Thank you so much for coming on here today. And for all of our friends out there, any thoughts, comments, put them down below and we will be sure to answer them. I'll make sure that we have Anthony and Cameron's contact info and their website and podcast for you to find out more. And we'll see you on the next video.